Currently, the world is evolving into the digital age. A new round of technology revolution and industrial transformation is developing comprehensively. As the key foundation for creating digital competitiveness, and also an important component of digital information infrastructure, the broadband network is enabling digital transformation of thousands of industries and prospering the digital economy. For example, in rural areas of China, the construction of digital information infrastructure such as broadband network and 5G are connecting the countryside and the world. Local vegetables and crops have been sold through the broadband network, promoting economic growth of the village and bringing more tourists. Farmers can oversight the situation of their farmland on the smartphones anytime and anywhere using webcast on the digital platform, saving management costs and improving efficiency. The traditional villages are gradually transforming into digital villages, which integrate agriculture, village affairs, and tourism. In order to achieve better development of the broadband industry, continue to bridge the digital divide, and play the important role of broadband for enabling global digital transformation and prospering the digital economy, the World Broadband Association came into being. The vision and mission of the WBBA is to unite the global industry chain and facilitate industry chain communications and exchanges, as well as enhance technological cooperation and promote the innovation and development of the global cloud and network information infrastructure, and achieve the prosperity of the cloud and broadband industry around the world. The association has grown rapidly after the official registration. By now, WBBA has developed 30 official members from 15 countries, representing the world's operators, vendors, cloud operators, and companies from vertical industry. We sincerely hope that more and more stakeholders in the cloud broadband industry will join WBBA, strengthen cooperation in the global broadband industry, and bridge the digital divide through the joint effort so that all humanity can benefit from the digital economy.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Broadband Association, WBBA Shanghai Summit. I'm your host of the first session today, Li Jun, Vice President of China Telecom. It's such a great honor to have all of you here today. Today's event is broadcasted and recorded, and the playback video will be available on WBBA website. It is also set up with simultaneous translation. So before my switching back my language to Chinese, I would like to kindly remind all of you to choose your channels according to needed. 尊敬的各位领导
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the World Broadband Association Shanghai Summit. I'm your host, Li Jun, Vice President of China Telecom. It is such a great honor to have all of you here today. Today, we have representatives from the government, private sectors, telecommunication, OEMs, and cloud service providers. We have a full gathering of audience. First, please allow me to introduce you the guests of today. They are Mr. Zhao Zhiguo, Chief Engineer from Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, MIIT. Mr. John Hoffman, CEO of GSMA. Mr. Ko Ruiwen, Executive Director, Chairman of China Telecommunication Corporation. Madam Du Xiaoyan, Level 1 Counsel from MIIT. Mr. Zhao Ce, Deputy Director of ICT Division from MIIT. Mr. Li Zhengmao, Chairman of the World Broadband Association. Mr. Martin Kriener, Director General from WBBA. Mr. Tang Yongbo, Senior VP of China Unicom and board member of WBBA. Chairman of the Board of China Communication Standards Association, Mr. Wang Ku. Mr. Liang Hao, Executive Deputy Secretary General of World Internet Conference. Mr. Liu Erfei, CEO of Asia Investment Capital. We also have representatives attending to this conference. They are from China Communication Research and China Unicom, Huawei, ZTE, Nokia Bell, Ali Intelligence, and the Sino-UK Submarine System and Okla, as well as other guests. We also have more than 30 members of WBBA attending today's event. Let's give them a round of applause to welcome them to be here. The theme of this event is maximizing the broadband's global potential, the driver of cloud network broadband on digital economy. The purpose is to aggregate the industrial chain of the broadband industry to promote the global development, to facilitate the prospering of digital economy. We have the opening speech, keynote speeches, and closing remarks. We will broadcast live the whole event. Now let's start the first session for welcome remarks. Now let's welcome Mr. Li Zhengmao, Chairman of the World Broadband Association, to deliver the welcome remarks.
To Mr. Li Zhengmao, the Chairman of WBBA, to make an opening speech.
Distinguished Chief Engineer Mr. Zhao Zhiguo and Mr. Zhang Hoffman and Mr. Kerwin Wen, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. First of all, on behalf of the Board of Directors of WBBA, I would like to extend our warmest welcome and sincere gratitude to all of you who have come to the 2023 Broadband Industry Association Shanghai Summit. At the same time, I would like to thank GSMA for providing such a good platform for us to gather at WMC in Shanghai, to work with our global industry partners to maximize the broadband's global potential and write a new chapter for the development of cloud broadband. As I can remember, the former ITU Secretary General, Mr. Zhao Houling, has advocated that the future global broadband development strategies should be based on 4 I's, namely infrastructure, investment and construction, innovation, and inclusiveness. Given this context, in order to meet or tackle the challenges of the global broadband industry development, on 2022 November, we have announced the establishment of WBBA. At the same time, we received the international organization serial number issued by the Swiss federal government. The headquarters of WBBA is in Geneva, Switzerland. It is a global-oriented, industry-led, multilateral corporation, non-government organization, and non-profit organization. We service the global network service providers, cooperators, manufacturers, service providers, policymakers, financial investment institutions, and other industry stakeholders. It is committed to uniting the global industry chain, promoting industrial chain communication and exchange, strengthening technical cooperation, and promoting global innovation and development of cloud and network information structure. In the past 1 year, WBBA has made positive progress in organization building, membership development, and international cooperation. In 2023, February, during the WMC in Barcelona, after the careful preparation and thorough brewing, the association has established its first board of directors and hold the first board meeting to formally elect me as the chairman of the board. So far, WBBA has developed more than 30 official members, including 15 operators from 16 countries. In order to continuously expand the association's or WBBA's circle of friends and cloud, and to continue to promote international cooperation and open sharing, the board of directors has formulated 2023 development goals and strategies around 3 areas to promote the related work. First, high-level international exchange and shaping brand value. WBBA will strengthen exchange and cooperation with international organizations such as the ITU, GSMA, WTO, and World Internet Conference to assume the social responsibility, show great actions in addressing common human challenges, support global cloud network broadband development through international cooperation and partnership, and work together to build a cloud network ecosystem. Secondly, the high-quality member system. WBBA will continue to expand the scale of the association in a healthy and orderly manner. In 2023, we plan to develop and recruit more than 60 members and actively introduce partners from Asia, Africa, Latin America, Oceania, Europe, and America. We will continue to provide more new opportunities for the development of the world cloud network broadband industry and prosper digital economy. Thirdly, we will have the high-quality construction of the association to lead the industry. WBBA will continue to integrate resources, gather the upstream and downstream of the industrial chain to link the supply side and demand side, actively promote the cooperation and experience sharing of global partners in cloud network broadband infrastructure, key technologies, innovative practices, and solutions. Therefore, to create the best practice sharing of cloud network broadband, cooperation at home and abroad. It provides the goal orientation and the trend insight for global countries in the process of cloud network industry development, where we enhance industrial leadership and empowers broadband industry development. In October, WBBA will hold its annual summit in Paris, France, to release the Global Broadband Development Report, Global Cloud Broadband Development Index, and other important research results, and shared insights and outlook for the global industry. In 2023, the theme of this WBBA Shanghai Summit is to maximize the broadband's global potential. At present, we have seen the signals of economic recovery globally, and the digital economy is the one of important engine to drive global economical growth. Under the wave of a digital economy construction, with the continuous progress made by 5G transformation, connectivity, and beyond reality, it becomes more and more important to empower economy and social development through scientific and technology innovation and a new generation information technology to stimulate and with power. And this has highlighted the urgency of velocity, which coincides with the theme of this WMC. At the same time, we have set 2 topics for this forum. First is policy investment and sustainable development, and the other is evolution path and technology innovation of cloud network broadband. We have the pleasure to invite the representatives from Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, China Academy of Information Communication Technology, China Communication Standards Association, World Internet Conference, as well as operators, equipment vendors, cloud service providers, and investment institutions to share their wisdom and insights. And lastly, on behalf of the Board of Directors of WBBA, I would like to wish the full success of this Shanghai Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Li. WBBA, since the establishment within half a year in international communication, governance, and infrastructure, we have made great achievement. We know that this October, WBBA in Paris will have the annual summit to build high-level communication platform to launch their flagship research report. Let's hope together WBBA can promote further on the maximizing of broadband global potential. So today, we are also very honored to have Mr. Zhao Zhiguo, the Chief Engineer of the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, to give an address. Now let's welcome Chief Engineer Zhao Zhiguo. Distinguished Mr. Hong Weizhuang and Chairman Li Zhenmao, John Hoffman, and Ke Ruiwen, good afternoon. I am very happy to be here in WBBA Shanghai Summit. And in this summit, the topic is maximizing the broadband's global potential, the driver of cloud network broadband on the digital economy. So we are going to talk about policies, technology evolutions, and innovations. Deeply, we're going to communicate together to promote the net and cloud network high-level development, and to promote the digital transformation in the society and in different industries. So first of all, on behalf of MIT, I would like to congratulate to the successful holding of this summit. And our infrastructure of cloud and network is the carrier for our development to pour and to promote the investment, consumption, and digitalization. It plays a very important role. President Xi Jinping highly emphasized on the development of broadband development and other new form of technology development. He emphasized on the advanced construction, on the ubiquitous network, and space, ground integration, green and low-carbon sustainable, intelligent, comprehensive, and digital development of all industries. So multiple connections in different industries is formed. So in recent years, MIT take a long sight to build the 5G network and 10 gigabyte fiber optical network. We have launched a lot of new achievements. We keep on building our capabilities, building the large-scale, highest technology broadband infrastructure here in China. By the end of May, China has already built more than 110 gigabytes cities with a lot of optical fiber devices. The ports achieved more than 19 million, and with a large number of base stations. And we have achieved every city has gigabytes network and 5Gs. The user scale increased dramatically. The user scale increased dramatically and upgraded. By the end of May, our user scale achieved 580 million, occupying the total of 95.5%, with the highest penetration rate in the world. The gigabytes user achieved 102 million. And the 5G users achieved more than 650 million. So we keep on facilitate on the full coverage and high capability broadband network to support long-range office, remote medicines, education, and etc. And efficiently, we have activated the digital consumptions. 5G network and gigabyte fiber network has a good integration with different industry covering 60 in altogether 97 big pillars. So it facilitates a lot of industry development. We have witnessed achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed the financial evolution and technology evolution. And after in this post-pandemic area. We need to be hand in hand, and we need to achieve win-win situation. Keep on optimizing the infrastructure construction of 5G network and broadband infrastructure on function advancement. And we need to further develop the integration of our ICT technologies in other industries so that we can pave a solid foundation for the whole society's development. And we need to have a deployment in different foundations. And deeply, we need to implement those 1,000 5G cities. And we need to leverage on the power of the mega cities, and so that we can improve the overall level of the 5G development. Those small and medium-sized cities need to further strengthen on their infrastructure building on some specific projects and tasks. We need to achieve balanced development all over in China. Big data, AI, and other new forms of technologies and ICT technologies are all need to be connected to achieve synergies. And network computing and cloud computing need to be converged so that we can form a better supply system. Secondly, convergence application deeply improve the industry as an enabler. So IPv6 and other new technologies need to be applied, and innovation platform needs to be established. Cross-sector and cross-enterprise cooperation need to be advanced, and the broadband development need to be further enhanced in education, finance, and industries. Some typical cases, best practices need to be established to advocate the digitalization in traditional industries, and we need to work on the digitalization in some conventional traditions so that we can inject dynamics to the new development. Thirdly, we need to be innovative in technology to build an ecosystem in this industry. So those top frontier companies need to take the leading responsibilities to further improve the upstream and downstream synergy, and we need to speed up the infrastructure building and further upgrade the ecosystem. So on the value chain, we need to, on different stages, we need to have breakthroughs and break those bottlenecks so that we can better enhance the technologies and pave a better foundation. So the foundation of the industry can be better enhanced. We need to be open and fair and for win-win cooperation. And we also need to leverage on the network and cloud associations and other international associations and institutions on standard making and policy regulations. So international communications are highly appreciated. Experience need to be shared on this platform, and the network broadband development potential need to better maximized so that it can benefit to people in the world. So ladies and gentlemen, WBBA since establishment, it proactively plays a very important role in the broadband development globally. It established a good communication platform globally for the professionals. So I would like to encourage you to take this summit as an opportunity to achieve higher progress and higher breakthroughs and higher levels of business so that we can work together to build a community with a shared future and with a better and newer contribution. Last but not least, I wish a great success to this summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Engineer Mr. Zhao Zhiguo. During his speech, he pointed out that we have increasing computing power and we have increasing number of users. In order to cement the foundation for the future development, Mr. Zhao has pointed out that we need to build and enhance the foundation and deepen the vertical empowerment, drive technology innovation, build ecosystems, enhance the sharing and the cooperation to unleash the potential. Thank you for your suggestion. GSMA is one of the most influential organizations in the mobile sectors, and we have witnessed the WMC's successful conveying and grand return in Barcelona and Shanghai. Mr. John Hoffman is invited to this forum today. So now let's welcome John Hoffman.
Warm welcome to Mr. John Hoffman, CEO of GSMA Limited.
Ni hao. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. What an honor it is to be here today, finally in person at this second WBBA Summit. As we know, our first one was held in Barcelona in February, and we're thrilled to have the second opportunity with all of you here in Shanghai. You know, I've traveled to China a few times since the borders have reopened, and I have to say that the growth of 5G and the scale of digital transformation across the country has truly amazed me. And walking around MWC Shanghai this week, I think it is very clear that we are in the midst of a technological revolution with 5G, cloud computing, and most importantly, mobile broadband, opening up even more opportunities than we could have ever dreamed. I'm sure that by now you've had a chance to experience the incredible 5G service here in Shanghai and throughout China. Let me tell you, that is not something that happens by accident. It is with great regulation and a huge amount of investment and innovation that has been poured into the networks that allow this to happen. And so it's so exciting to see the opportunities that are opening up across the various services and sectors. As 5G and mobile broadband gathers pace, we see the benefits spreading across the economy. And as I've said before, the GSMA expects that by 2025, we will have more than 1 billion 5G customers here in China, and that by 2030, 5G around the world will contribute nearly $1 trillion to global GDP. Almost half of this will come from the services sector, with applications in areas like finance, healthcare, education, and others, powered by mobile broadband and backed by the WBBA. China in particular has been incredibly proactive in scaling the use of 5G verticals, establishing the new business models to drive wider usage across sectors and closing the digital divide, speeding up the digital transformation across industries, from 5G-powered mobile stroke units, providing faster treatment for stroke patients out in the field, to the world's largest 5G fully connected factory. The use cases of 5G and mobile broadband keep growing. You'll have seen many on the show floor. The possibility provided by the digital transformation are truly endless. Mobile broadband is an engine of innovation and hope here and around the world. As 5G takes off and connectivity becomes embedded in our everyday lives, meeting your customers' demands requires complex solutions. And that can only be achieved by working together, collaborating, sharing knowledge and best practices, innovating across industries and across verticals. And as 5G matures, we need to work to bridge the digital divide, bolster the transformation of traditional industries, and further empower our digital economies. To do this, we need to open up the networks to more developers and more stakeholders, including the cloud providers. Only then will we be able to take full advantage of 5G, AI, IoT, big data, and all that is enabled by mobile broadband. And this is why that in February at MWC Barcelona, we launched the GSMA Open Gateway Initiative, a framework of common APIs that will bring universal access to mobile networks around the world, allowing developers and cloud service providers to improve and build new digital services and accelerate the development of these immersive technologies. The initiative is growing quickly with more than 29 operators who have signed on, including China Mobile, China Telecom, China Unicom, and Singtel from this region. We are now facilitating proof of concepts, covering everything from device location and SIM swap to combat online financial crime, to edge discovery and quality on demand to deliver more immersive gaming experiences and enable drones to carry data-intensive transmissions safely. But this is only the beginning. Operators are now starting to launch early adopter programs, and we will see many more APIs developed in the coming years, creating new markets, offering new services, new functionality, and unlocking the value of 5G connectivity and mobile broadband. And that will flow into the global economy and strengthen further investments in this circle of life. As the initiative continues to grow, we have an opportunity to build deep ecosystems across industries and verticals, bringing transformational benefits of connectivity to all, leaving no one behind. For those of you that are interested, I encourage you to visit the GSMA Pavilion to hear more about our partnering and enhance the opportunities and offerings for developers, and cloud providers. In this next phase of digital transformation, collaboration and partnerships will be the key. And so we must work together to strengthen our bonds, sharing ideas through forums such as this, learning from one another and building new partnerships to build the firm foundation from which to grow sustainable and a resilient future. I look forward to hearing of the many collaborations that will grow from this and other sessions, the partnerships that will be formed starting this week and into the future, so that we have an opportunity to engage new stakeholders and dream together what the future will be. I wish everyone at this WBBA Summit a great success. Xi.
Thank you, Mr. John Hoffman, for your fantastic address. GSMA has made great achievement and really has become the role model in unifying the mobile ecosystem to discover, to develop, and to drive innovation that facilitate the digital transformation of business and society. WBBA will work together with GSMA to promote the technical innovation and the development of digital economy.
As one founding member of WBBA, China Telecom has its achievements in the convergence of cloud and the network and digital and bridging the digital divide. Now let's welcome Rui Wenke, the Executive Director and Chairman and CEO of China Telecommunications Corporation. Distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very honored to present here in 2023 WBBA Shanghai Summit. Together with our partners globally, we can communicate about how to maximize the broadband global potential, the driver of cloud network broadband to the digital economy. First of all, on behalf of China Telecom, I'd like to extend my welcome to every guest and sincere congratulations to the success holding of this meeting. So the cloud and broadband network is very vital to the whole social development, and it's taking a very important role. And the network connects families, cities, villages, and the globe. It has shouldered a lot of responsibilities like education, transportation, tourism, production, and our daily lifestyle behaviors. So network can bridge the remote area to the globe. The village residentials, they can promote their agricultural products globally, and the kids in the village can be educated online. So the development of this industry has a very important role in bridging the digital divide globally. So China Telecom, we keep on advanced on the foundational infrastructure of cloud and network together with AI, and cared about the cybersecurity, and we care also about the green development. And innovation is also another format of development. China Telecom has keep on investing more on the infrastructure. Our gigabytes network has already covered 360 million users in more than 30 countries with a penetration rate of 99%. So this is a good policy and infrastructure to lift the poverty. And 3+X+O has a 7-layer deployment. So we have formed the largest hybrid cloud in China. The AI capability has been converged into the cloud and broadband network with different scenarios, with different ages. So we have formed a series of solutions such as the cloud and integration into the catering business so that we can provide a secure and safe service to the household table. And we also provide intelligent cloud and intelligent community services and products. Up to May this year, we have altogether 147 million intelligent network users, with altogether 223,000 intelligent villages. We have provided industrial platform for services so that we can facilitate and enable the manufacturing business digitalization transformation. So we have already served more than 100,000 users and households. The cloud and broadband network has played a very important role in our daily life right now to facilitate and inject momentum to the digital development. Through our practice, we have realized that this new form of cloud network has several trends as follows. Number one, the high-speed space, ground, and ubiquitous development trend. So it will form a whole full range and domain ubiquitous network, and secondly, more agile, more intelligent, and fast. The broadband network, together with cloud and AI technology, we can have a synergy among different technologies. Thirdly, green and low carbon is of a theme. The Eastern data is computed in the West and trained in the West. This kind of policies and quantum computing has provided a secure communication base, which is very urgent and very suitable for the development of the whole industry. WBBA is since the establishment after 4 working groups, we have established different activities in different corners of the world, and we have built a communication platform with industry consensus, and we have also provided a good contribution to the industry development. So in the future, we're going to have breakthrough in innovation and in openness. We're going to have a lot more solutions to different industries. So I have 3 suggestions here. Number 1, communications and collaborations are vital. So the network and broadband development is very important in bridging the digital divide. So this new form of cloud and network is an impetus. So different parties in this industry need to collaborate and communicate deeply on this platform. We need to build new roadmap to figure out solutions for better development. WBBA is a first alliance of cloud and broadband network in the globe. So all together, hands in hands, we can build this platform, a plain and fair platform for communication. And we're going to connect with those remote areas and poor areas, and we're going to link up from the supply and demand side. And we're going to link up those cheap manufacturings and consumers and different parties in the industries for higher development. Secondly, benchmark and standardization. Right now, different countries and different regions are at different stage of the whole development trend. So there is a difference in different regions. So WBBA need to take the leading role in breaking that gap and explore what is key requirements and to figure out the best practice and solutions. So through benchmarking, we can pass on the best practice and experience to those poor areas and remote areas. The best practices need to be studied and the great potential need to be figured out so that we can activate the momentum in this industry so that the investment can go into those most successful practices. In this way, we can, the WBBA can play a leading role, and so that we can further realize the value of the industry. Thirdly, to provide better service to the society, we need to bridge the digital divide in the globe, and we need to build common prosperity in this digitalization world. This is a consensus we have achieved. The service need to be enhanced and integrated into different kinds of industries. Innovations need to be lifted, and we need to deepen or penetrate this technology deeper into every walks of life, and also application need to be further enhanced. At the same time, the broadband network coverage need to be improved and better breakthrough in the divide so that we can benefit more people in the world and make the broadband network affordable to the people in the world so that we can realize the UN Sustainable Goal 2030.
Ladies and gentlemen, WBBA is a joint effort by the industry to promote the development of cloud and broadband. China Telecom is willing to work with all partners of WBBA to work on the innovations and breakthroughs, and jointly we're going to promote the prosperity of cloud and broadband and build the ecosystem of the broadband industry to contribute our fair share to the bridging of the digital divide and lay the solid foundation for the beautiful future. And lastly, I would like to wish a full success of this event. Thank you. I would like to thank Mr. Chairman Curry Wen for your speech. You have summarized 3 advocacies for the role of broadband in the development of the modern economy, and also the role of broadband to poverty alleviation, and also the new infrastructure featuring broadband and digital transformation as well as the results. You also put forward 3 initiatives for the future: cooperation and exchange, set up a role model, and service the economic society. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the welcome remarks. And now we will start the keynote speeches. I would like to invite the moderator for the next session.
Conclude our first session of this summit. Please allow me to introduce the host for the next session, Mr. Mark Oliver, Vice President of Informatech. Please.
Distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you all for attending today's World Broadband Association Summit. My name is Mark Oliver. I'm Vice President of Consulting at Omdia, the Research and Consulting Division of Informatech, and we are very proud to have been a founder member and partner of the World Broadband Association since its launch in 2021. I would like to thank Dr. Li Jun for hosting today's first session, and to all our VIP guests for the speeches so far, and also to our event sponsors, China Telecom. I'd like to express our gratitude to all of today's speakers for their success, both of today's event, but also the ongoing success of the World Broadband Association. During the rest of today's seminar, our distinguished industry leaders will examine new business models, broadband growth drivers, and the industry development trends, all with the goal of exploring how together as an industry, we can close the digital divide, enable industry innovation, and bring the socio-economic benefit of broadband to all. If you are not already a World Broadband Association member, do join us on our journey as we seek to connect the world by bringing the benefit of broadband to all. Now, to launch this section of today's event, I'm very delighted to welcome onto stage World Broadband Association Director General, Mr. Martin Kriener.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and first of all, thank you to all of our speakers already who've given inspirational views on the future of the industry we're all in and we're all trying to make successful. I'd like to give a bit of a view this afternoon on the history of the World Broadband Association and some of the work that is underway within the World Broadband Association. Let me just give a little bit of how did we get here? Because this whole discussion on the World Broadband Association has only began maybe 2 years ago when a number of the founder members got together and began a dialogue on why the industry didn't have, the broadband industry, whilst many industry organizations exist and many standards organizations exist, there was no industry association to look at the enablement of the broadband industry. And so the first discussions began in July 2021. The first working groups began around 9 months ago or 12 months ago in early 2022, where we started looking at, in parallel with forming the organization, we started looking at some of the most important topics that we could begin to address. The World Broadband Association was formally incorporated in Switzerland in November 2022. We had our first board meeting where the 12 founder members came together with their very senior executives and began the process of governing the World Broadband Association in February 23. And at this stage, in June 2023, it's a fully operational, growing organization. It's got a range of working groups. It's running a number of events and producing a set of publications. It is moving very rapidly with an aim to become a leading industry organization filling a critical gap. The critical gap that we're filling, I believe, is that whilst there's a lot of really strong standardization organizations within the broadband industry, ETSI or the Broadband Forum or IETF, to name but a few, develop the excellent standards that's required. And of course, the policy for the broadband industry is developed at national levels and at the ITU level. But in terms of an industry development, industry enablement organization, I compare the broadband industry, say, to the mobile industry. The mobile industry has the excellent GSMA, which is driving the business of the mobile industry. And there is nothing equivalent for the broadband industry. And so we've created the World Broadband Association to fill that gap. And we are reaching out to a very broad ecosystem. I like to think about this as a supply side and a demand side. The supply side of the industry are really the people who create broadband. So that includes, of course, China Telecom and China Unicom and other operators around the world, as well as the excellent suppliers like Huawei and Nokia and others across the industry. I view them as the supply side of the industry, and they are the ones who have initially come together to make the WBBA happen. But just as important is the demand side of the industry, the people who are going to use broadband and who are going to create the demand for the future complex broadband that we're busy developing at the moment, whether that's the metaverse, whether that's the gaming industry, whether it's the vertical industries such as smart manufacturing or smart hospitals or smart education or retail. And of course, other key players in this ecosystem are the investors and the governments and the key cloud hyperscalers. So the focus really within the WBBA is on the development of this complete ecosystem. And I see 6 key tasks in delivering and what the WBBA is already beginning to do. It's certainly enabling collaboration between all of the key players. And I'll talk a bit about the collaboration teams that are already working, and there will be more. It's, of course, involved in capturing requirements to share among the members, but also to share to those excellent standardization organizations on maybe helping them to prioritize where the next set of standards need to be developed. It's identifying best practices, particularly to share among the members. What's excellent in one part of the world can be replicated in another part of the world, and the WBBA are sharing those ideas from one community to another community in different parts of the world. We're certainly championing the broadband industry, championing it to regulators, championing it to governments. Our vision is excellent broadband everywhere for everyone. And to do that, it requires investment, and to get that investment, the key stakeholders have to be convinced of the impact of broadband and the good it does for economies and the good it does for the companies themselves. And so we are championing that advocacy. We're sharing industry knowledge, publishing white papers, publishing research reports, and there's a whole range of those already published and about to come out as well. And of course, as we are doing today, we're organizing industry events. The key focus of the collaboration, I won't be able to delve into everything we're doing, but I wanted to spend a bit of time today talking about the collaboration that we're doing, because there's 4 key activities that the WBBA is collaborating on. One is defining a next generation roadmap for the industry. We are all familiar with the mobile roadmap for the world. There's a 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 5.5G, and so on. But there's never been something equivalent for the broadband industry. So one of the collaborative activities within the WBBA is defining this roadmap. As I mentioned, broadband advocacy is really important, but this is not an ad hoc activity. We need to understand all of the key benefits, all of the key arguments, all of the key business cases, so we can structure them in an easy-to-consume way for all of the key stakeholders. And our work group is doing that. We have a work group looking at how broadband impacts global environmental sustainability. A really important topic. It's very big this week here at this event. It was very big at the Barcelona event. It's very big in the general media. But we cannot be blind to the importance of understanding global sustainability, environmental sustainability, and cloud network evolution. As we've just heard, from the CEO of China Telecom, the tight integration between the network and the cloud is a reality of the future. It's a reality of today, but more so even into the future. So let me delve into each of those. We've just released, or just about to release, from our working group, a broadband advocacy white paper. And this is really looking at a range of considerations for all the key stakeholders in winning the arguments around broadband development and developing the right broadband strategy. And so it's looking at it from the government's point of view, from the policy regulators' point of view, from the investors' point of view, and it's looking at key aspects like how do we drive consumer awareness of broadband, and what are the key supply and demand side initiatives that are working in different parts of the world to accelerate broadband adoption. And this is now evolving to become an investment strategy guidebook, where we will look at the best practices, the best strategies of different governments worldwide, and try and identify what are the key patterns that countries and companies and investors can start replicating in order to accelerate broadband adoption in the developed and the developing world. I mentioned the roadmap, and that we're just about to publish version 2 of our broadband roadmap. As I mentioned, we've got 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G in the mobile world, and in the broadband world, we've got a similar set of evolutions of capabilities, but we've never really defined what they are. And so we are busy developing this roadmap. We've defined, again, to align it to the mobile roadmap, BB3, BB4, BB5, BB5.5, BB6, and we're currently at BB5. And we're looking at, not just in terms of the speeds, because of course everybody thinks of different generations in terms of speed, whether we're at 100 megabits a second, or 1 GPON, or 10 GPON, or 50 GPON, but also at aspects like latency, reliability, the green credentials of each generation of broadband. Because what we're discovering in our conversations, particularly with the demand side, is that what they value in the next generation of broadband may not be what the supply side think is most important. I've got the opinion that reliability and availability is going to be the killer app of next generation broadband, not necessarily just faster and faster speed. Other people you speak to talk about latency. But you can, this is going to be published in the next few days, version 2. You can already download version 1, and version 2 will be available in the next few days for you to look at and identify the level of detail in there and how that relates to your particular job. There's an inevitable merging of network and cloud that I've already mentioned. The seamless convergence is driving the digital economy and facilitating the next generation of connectivity. And what we're looking at is elastic scalability between the network and the cloud, enhanced intelligence, and true deterministic experience. And we're just about, over the next few weeks, to publish a white paper on this topic that addresses the topics of elasticity on demand, guaranteed SLAs, cross-domain orchestration, end-to-end AI automated operation across a converged network cloud infrastructure. So this is a very important topic for you to look at, and you'll be able to download this over the next few weeks. And finally, environmental sustainability. Broadband has a key role to play in global sustainability discussions. And this is not just a discussion. I think we're just about to move on to phase 2 of this paper, and this will be released probably within the next month. And in phase 1, we talked about the carbon impact of broadband. And we all know that, for example, fiber is much more carbon efficient than copper. It's more carbon efficient than any other way of communication. But the whole discussion is even broader than just the carbon efficiency. And so this next generation of the paper also looks at the sustainable development goals and which areas different operators are investing their time in for sustainable development. So of course they're looking at climate action, of course they're looking at industry innovation and infrastructure, but they're also looking at gender equality, they're also looking at responsible consumption and production and the circular economy. So this second paper gives results of surveys we have done of operators in this area, and it also looks at the ROI, the genuine ROI that is possible for investing in sustainability. It is not just about investing in sustainability because it's good for the planet. What we're really trying to draw out is that there's a financial business case underpinning investment in sustainability. So I'll draw my presentation to a close there, and just to say that, as Mark mentioned, we welcome you to become a part of the WBBA. The WBBA is formed and structured and operating. It's got clear governance. It's got a clear board. It is open to that very wide ecosystem that I mentioned, and we really welcome you. If you're not already a member of the WBBA, either here in the room or online looking at this, reach out to us and join and add your voice to the conversation around all of these key topics and more. Many thanks.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you for the important introduction as to the why and the how the WBBA is focused on the industry development of the complete supply and demand side of the industry ecosystem. And you've also seen and heard now about some of the industry critical positions that the World Broadband Association is taking, and we very much welcome you to share your views and perspectives as we continue on the path of industry development. To look further at the importance of broadband in promoting global digital transformation, I'm delighted to welcome now on stage Chairman of the Board at the China Communications Standards Association, Dr. Wen Ku.
Distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very happy to see a lot of old friends here at the Yangtze Riverside. Together, we can participate in WBBA Shanghai Summit. Today, I would like to share some of my insights on broadband promoting global digital transformation. From the UN report, we can see that the developing broadband network has already penetrated in every part of our life, and it provides sensors and perceptions in every part of our life and integrate into different infrastructures for digital economy promotion. So in the report, we can see that the penetration of broadband can improve employment rate and can save energy and can have a comprehensive upgrade in the society. So broadband development is a foundation factor for future development. Right now, the broadband has a very strong connectivity. With ubiquitous connectivity, we can bridge the digital divide. This strong connectivity can pull the investment and benefit different industries. So in the global digital transformation and bridging the digital divide, WBBA's establishment is very timely. It will promote the convergence of a cloud and network and different parties in the industry. Let's work together, and we're gonna leverage on the resources for balanced development. So on behalf of China Communication Standards Associations, I would like to show my respect to WBBA, and also I would congratulate Mr. Zhong Mao on being elected as the chairman of WBBA. The global fixed broadband development, from the access, we have two kinds. One is a fixed and a mobile access. Right now, PON is the standards and is the new trend of access. So the PON, the 10G PON right now is in implementation, especially in China. This 10G PON is quickly implemented, and together with Wi-Fi, we can provide the ultimate experience to the users. 5G PON standardization work has seen some progress. In the 2 to 3 years' time, there will be pilot tests in different cities. So we will see the realization of fiber connecting everything. So that will also, we see the development in other countries as well, especially the fiber access, especially in Europe and in North America. They are putting forward the policies. And the global FTTX ratio is 62% in 2021, and that number is going to be 78% in 2025. China's ratio is comparatively higher than other parts of the world. We have established right now the largest scale of fiber access. The fiber user occupies 95%, and 1,010 megabytes user achieved 18.2%. So for mobile broadband development, we have already unified the generation. Right now, we are at the 5G era. Our standard has been unified already, and the rate has improved. Right now, the 5G network covers more than 30% of the population in the world, and 5G is, of course, faster than 4G and 3G. So as I mentioned, 30% coverage in the population. And altogether, we have 92 countries, altogether hundreds of telecom operators, 252 telecom operators in 92 countries and regions around the world have deployed 5G network. And also, we can see the China and United States, Japan, South Korea accounted 81.5% of the global 5G users. China is leading the development of 5G network and has built the world's largest 5G network. We are using a standalone 5G network, and we are using the co-building and co-sharing between China Unicom and China Telecom, and China Broadnet and China Mobile co-building and co-working projects. So they have laid a very solid foundation for the future 5G development. So that have made us on expressway to 5G development. So we can see the acceleration coming. The broadband network development in China is also a spotlight. So by March last year, the household covered by gigabit optical network achieved 500 M. And with a base station of 2.84 million, and also we have 110 million gigabytes broadband users, and from ports of 10G PON, user achieved 17.93 million. In terms of the network access, the average mean is more than 300 megabytes, which is taking the lead in the world. According to the global report, we see that the proportion of the fiber to the administrative villages is more than 99.9%. And in remote areas, you can see the generalization in remote areas. The fiber, as I mentioned, the proportion of the fiber to those villages achieved more than 99.9%. And the total number of the rural broadband users in China has reached 181 million. So the general great improvement of rural network infrastructure in China, the Chinese government have improved the infrastructure building in remote areas in China. The villages' infrastructure has been improved, and a cumulative number of supported villages, more than 130,000, and accumulatively supported the construction of 4G base stations in 60,000 administrative villages. More than 99% of the administrative villages have achieved dual coverage, and the average download speed of the administrative village exceeds 100 MB. So we have spent very large efforts on improving the generalization in the countryside. People were talking about that, whether we should use wireless access in those remote areas. But taking it alongside, we think we want to make the beginning difficult, but maybe easier later. So we use the fiber as the access. So this fiber has also solved the problem of wireless base station. Because of that, the residents can be online and have a live stream broadcasting not only at home but on their farms. I am from the China Communication Standards Association. So CCSA has 20 years of history. Under the guidance of the government, we are a non-profit social organization which is guided by the government and jointly organized voluntarily by domestic enterprises and public institutions. And we take the principle of openness, fairness, justice, and consensus. So CCSA is our abbreviation. We organize information and communication standardization activities to contribute to the development of national informatization and information industry, seeking mutual promotion. So over the 20 years, we have gathered the industries to form a national and industrial standardization. And in recent years, CCSA, we have promoted the group standardization. So that provides good conditions for the industry development. So CCSA, we are an international institutions. And under the leadership of MIIT and the National Standardization Commission, and we are in the framework of ISO, and we provide good solutions to different industries. And together with the International Standardization Association, we have good cooperation. For example, like 3GBP and IEEE and IETF. These are our partnership associations, and we also hope to have a better cooperation with WBBA so that we can contribute together to the broadband development globally. So to conclude, I think a moderately advanced development of broadband network is very beneficial to the future development, and that is the best study we have here in China. Water and oxygen are necessary to life on the earth, and broadband network then is the water and oxygen for the digital economy in the future. Broadband network connectivity is the basic and crucial prerequisite for future social development, especially for reducing digital divide. The world needs communication and cooperation in this new era. So I hope that WBBA will play the role of a bridge and platform in the future development and make achievements for the global digital transformation. CCSA is willing to find a combination point in future work and contribute to the development of global broadband network together with WBBA.
And we're willing to work with WBBA to contribute to the benefit to all mankind from the broadband. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wenku, and we are very excited about the potential for partnership between the WBBA and the CCSA. And thank you for the particularly important insights on how developing broadband networks can reduce the digital divide. We have separately heard today about the need to develop sustainable and resilient networks, and to look at how we can achieve that and at the same time close and bridge the digital gap. Please welcome Executive Deputy Secretary General at the World Internet Conference, Liang Hao.
Distinguished Mr. Chairman Li Zhengmao, ladies and gentlemen and guests, good afternoon. It is a great honor for me to attend this Shanghai Summit. I would like to thank WBBA for inviting me to attend this summit, and thank you for your thoughtful arrangement. My topic today is Bridge the Digital Divide to Empower Sustainable Development. In the current world, 5G and AI are producing disruptive changes to our daily lives. The intelligence and internet development is accelerating, and while it's improving the efficiency, it also causes the inequality. In the 2021's WIC, Mr. Liu Zhenming, the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, said the continuing digital divide is the most pressing challenge for the international community. Through the studies and research, we believe there are several aspects for digital divide. First is the access divide. According to the ITU statistics, as of 2022, globally, there are still 2.7 billion people. They are offline, which accounts for 1/3 of the total population. For the gridlock population and the least developed, only 36% of the population is online. The cost of internet access can be 15% of the national GDP. The rational range usually should be around 2%. So we say inequality of digital development still continue to exist. Second is the application divide. In some countries, the infrastructure is not complete. Training is insufficient. The people do not have enough knowledge of the digital technologies, and the scope of the application of digital technology is narrowed, and the special groups, for example, the senior citizens and the disabled people, are excluded from the digital benefit. Third is the capability divide. As we have accelerated development, digital technology has become universal for us. However, the divide has been manifested in different groups in the ability to access data, to process data, and produce data. This will further exacerbate the polarization and increase the digital divide. So the inequality globally has been worsened. How can we bridge the digital divide? This has become the core attention by the international organizations. The United Nations has launched the roadmap for digital cooperation to advocate a peaceful approach to benefit all mankind. At the same time, the UN has initiated the Global Digital Compact. In September of 2021, the ITU has initiated the Partner to See Connect Digital Coalition, and in the same year, in June, they have passed the Kigali Declaration and the Kigali Action Plan. As an international organization, WIC also focuses on the digital divide, and we work relentlessly to bridge the digital divide to reach the SDG targets by the United Nations. There are several works done by us. First is to play the role of dialogue and exchange of the platforms to build consensus. President Xi Jinping has put forward 5 suggestions to accelerate the construction of global network infrastructure for better interconnection and interworking. He says the essence of the internet is about connectivity. We have to build the infrastructure to build the smooth connectivity to bridge the divide among different parts of the world. Can we have a free flow of information? In the past years, the WIC has worked on many topics. We have carried out meetings such as the Bridging Digital Divide and Youth Leadership Programs, which is in line with the international organization theme. And also, we have produced the concept paper action initiatives, and we have produced proposals on global dialogue compact. This year, we have responded to the UN initiative. We worked with 15 organizations to submit a proposal for the infrastructure office of the UN to offer our suggestion. Secondly is to give the full play of the practices. We use the practice cases of jointly building a community with a shared future in the cyberspace to promote to the worldwide organizations about the bridging of a digital divide and other user cases. For example, there are several user cases. The China Telecom initiative to jointly build the digital Silk Road, which promotes the infrastructure construction in Southeast Asia, and also the Rural Star by Huawei for inclusive connectivity with a base station which has the size of a backpack. We will provide better connectivity in rural areas. And also the digital Donghuang has permanent capture of the cultural relics in Donghuang. And in the latest WIC conference, we also initiated the AI for Social Good Action Plan, which also means love for the social good action plan to have built goodwill. Third is to promote cooperation and a win-win situation. During the SDG meetings, the UN has passed the 17 sustainable goals. However, many of those goals cannot be achieved without the concerted efforts from the international communities. World Internet Conference has multiple members from the 6 continents. We will give full play to our resources to contribute to the achievement of the SDG goals. In addition to the existing programs, we will also initiate public welfare projects such as Global Internet Talent Cultivation, the Young Leader Development Initiative to bridge the digital divide program. And also we will promote the digital inclusiveness by organizing international conferences, regional conferences, and industrial summits, and we will provide the advanced ideas and the best practices. We still have a long way to bridge the digital divide. The current complex international situation has brought uncertainties to our efforts in bridging the digital divide. We would like to use this opportunity at WBBA to enhance our cooperation and exchange with other international organizations such as WBBA on AI and other advanced technologies to promote the digital infrastructure. We would like to promote the communication and exchange in digital infrastructure globally to promote the sustainable development. Lastly, I would like to say this year marks the 10th year anniversary of the Wuzhen World Internet Conference. We will organize other recap activities at Wuzhen. I would like to use this opportunity to invite all of you to attend the Wuzhen World Internet Conference. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Liang Hao, and thank you for the very important analysis of the scale of today's digital divide, why it exists, and an examination of the good work that the World Internet Conference is doing to address it. To examine further solutions to bridging the digital gap, please welcome onto the stage World Broadband Association member and supporter, UCLA's Director of the Asia region, Victor Tsiong.
Good afternoon, Mr. Zhao Zhiguo from IMT, and Mr. Chairman Curry Wen, and Mr. John Hoffman, CEO of GSMA, and Mr. Li Zhengmao, the Chairman of WBBA, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Victor Zhen. I am the Director of Sales from UCLA. My presentation today is about the Wi-Fi's performance, why Wi-Fi performance matters in bridging the digital divide. UCLA was the first product we launched in 2006. The name is a speed test. You can use on your desktop or mobile phones. With just one button, you can test your internet speed. Our company has a 3-stage of development. The first stage is to enable consumers to test their internet speed. Second stage, to promote our speed test service to the world. Currently, we have 17 years of history. We're doing subjective and accurate internet speed reports. Why do we have the confidence we say we are the largest outsource companies, agencies in the world. There are several numbers I would like to share with you. First, we have 100% worldwide coverage. The speed test interest server, we have 16,000 servers of them on your desktop or mobile phone. Within 1 kilometer radius, you will find a server. And this is introduction about myself. My name is Victor Zeng, or Zeng Jun. I have been with Ookla for 4 years. I'm in charge of Central Asia, North Asia, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan, and Japan, Korea, and other Asian countries. I'm also a writer myself. I have just published a book. I got a rating of 9.0 on Douban. I teach in Chongqing University. My subject is about negotiation. Now, back to the presentation itself. If we look at the Wi-Fi market or the broadband market, if we look at the development, let's look at Asia first. This number is called Ookla Global Index Ranking, or you can call it the international or internet ranking. For there are two aspects. First is mobile internet, another is broadband. So we are at the WBBA conference, so I will talk about broadband. We will refresh this international report on a monthly basis. In the latest version, which was produced in May 2023, we can see the highest speed was identified in Singapore. Do we have a laser here? Do we have a laser here? As you can see, China ranks number 4, and for other Southeast Asia countries, Philippines ranks number 55. On the right-hand side is the it's the statistics of broadband. It's from the Ookla Speed Test Intelligence. Fiber. In addition to the speed test own proprietary data, we also have Omedia and FTTH number here. Omedia tells us that in 2022, the percentage of fiber is gaining shares. The FTTH index, number 1 is Singapore. China is number 3. And if we look at another country, Philippines is 46. So the ranking of this is quite in line with that of Ookla's internet speed ranking. I really like Mr. Wen Ku said, Wi-Fi is like the oxygen and water. What is the digital divide? The poor, those who live in the rural area, they do not have access to the internet. This is the digital divide. Since 2006, when Ookla was founded, we had vision. That is to enable ordinary consumers to have access to the internet with a price that they can afford. They will be able to afford the internet and mobile internet. This is to bridge the digital divide. On the left-hand side is the research report by University of Chicago. There are 4 pie charts here. They use geological locations as samplings, and they benchmark that with the household disposable income and actual speed test of their internet connection. If you look at on the right-hand side is the speed test by us in Shanghai. Let me explain the colors for you. The best quality or the highest speed is in pink. The worst is in orange.
Therefore, Shanghai's position right now, speed of Shanghai, averagely very good. Fantastic in pink region. I can see some other colors in the rural areas, maybe in some red dots. Taking teal as an example, In Hong Kong CHA Summit, I mentioned about this case. As in Latin America, Chile cannot be called, it's called a subdeveloped country with a very high average GDP per capita. They have three stakeholders that develop the fiber network together in that country. We think this practice is very successful. The first stakeholder is the regulator, who is the SUBTEL in Chile. The government is pushing forward everyone to log on fiber, working on the standards, regulations they push forward. And the second stakeholder is the VC party. VC, they always drink coffee with people from the government saying, oh, this can make money. And then they analyze on the model that if Chile can be very developed in fiber network, and this is a very lucrative cake. So this is not only one VC, but it's Movies and Mambo, Hoplica Austral. They invested together to invest in the fiber development. Another stakeholder is the operator. Within 10 years' time, by 2023, altogether among 8 operators, 6 download rate is more than 100 Mbps. WUCLA in Chile, we provide the speed test, speed and data analysis. We work together with the regulators and operators. We participate in this long-term project. So according to WUCLA's ranking, this year, Chile's broadband speed ranks number 2 in the world. A decade ago, the ranking was number 10 or something, but they climbed up to number 2. This is a very successful practice. What can be called the last mile? That is WUCLA's core algorithm. We refer to the last mile experience of our users and consumers. So we use the last mile to test the speed rate in the last mile. So only by realizing quick speed in the last mile, we can realize the evolution of Wi-Fi technology for global benefits. CBI test data shows that if we take Wi-Fi performance to compare with that performance of Ethernet, this is from speed test. We have the Wi-Fi band and also Ethernet band data. Take APEC area for an example in 2023 Q1. The Wi-Fi the Dano monitor is the APEC value, and the China's Philippines is 35.56. We find that Wi-Fi speeds only takes 30 to 40% of Ethernet speeds during this period of time. So we see a great potential of Wi-Fi development. ICP and regulators have a long way to go. The old generation of Wi-Fi are still out there. We are promoting Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, and we are still advocating on those new generations. However, in reality, according to speed test, Wi-Fi 4 and Wi-Fi 5 generally in the globe altogether also makes up 89% of the global Wi-Fi usage. This is like a bucket effect. If you want to improve the average level, you need to work on the old generation, the bottom of the bucket. Wi-Fi 6 situation and adoption in APEC area. It's very mature in APEC. Well, mentioning about the color, the green stands for Wi-Fi 6. Purple color is Wi-Fi 5, red Wi-Fi 4. Where is China? 42.6% Wi-Fi 6. Right now, China is taking the lead. Wi-Fi 6 technology in mainland Singapore and Hong Kong are very mature and developed. If we zoom in China's market, because we have leaders from MIT and China Unicom and China Telecom, the logic is very simple. The right-hand side, with the Wi-Fi evolves, Wi-Fi 6 percentage from 2022 quarter 1 to this year's quarter 1 improved 10%. Right now, 42.6%, so 10% increase. And from the left-hand side, what about the rate, the speed? So from the same period of time, the network or download rate increased 34% from 153 to increased by 34%. What about the router manufacturers and the mobile manufacturers? From our data, we can see the data for different bands. The first quarter 2023, Huashuo's sample 39.6%, which is taking the lead, 38.9% at the top. And Wi-Fi 6. I want to show you two data. One is quarter 1 in 2023. Huawei Wi-Fi 6 percentage is taking the lead. The green is Wi-Fi 6. The yellow part is Wi-Fi 6E. So Huawei's percentage is 43.2%. The second data is Samsung, who occupies the largest proportion in Wi-Fi 6E, which is 15%. This is my last slide, my favorite photo. Very artistic, right? This is the world map. The color of the world map is made of the colors of speed text. Talking about the colors, the quickest speed fixed broadband is in purple color. The less developed speed is in orange color. So where is China here? Here is Shanghai's position in purple, right? Very developed in broadband infrastructure. Beijing, purple as well, taking the lead. And in the middle here is Xi'an, Kunming, Chengdu. In the south, Shenzhen, Hong Kong. They are above the medium. What about the Asia Pacific areas? Philippines, here, orange color, not very good. And then Indonesia, orange color. So the vision of Ookla is to make the internet better. We hope to work with regulators and operators and Wi-Fi producers, mobile phone producers. Let's work together. By leveraging the big data and our third-party report mechanism and our data analysis mechanism, we can together develop the fiber broadband industry in the globe. So if you're interested in the cooperation, you are more than welcome to email us or scan my WeChat QR code. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor, and some very important visual demonstrations there of the level of performance across the region and across the world and the opportunities for performance improvement. One of the major interests of the World Broadband Association is to develop and make the case for greater broadband infrastructure investment and to better promote best practice investment strategies. To discuss with us the role of capital to support broadband operators in growth through AI, please welcome onto the stage CEO of Asia Investment Capital, Louis F.A.
Just now, the previous speaker speech was very interesting and inspiring. So I want to be short in my presentation. For Asia Investment Capital, we are not a member of WBBA yet, but personally, I am a loyal fan to WBBA and also a fan to Mr. Li Zhengmao, the chairman of WBBA. So today I would like to share with you some of my personal thoughts. My topic today is digital economy and the broadband development. Recently, digital economy is very popular, especially the generative AI. Especially, we had the launch of ChatGPT that opens a new chapter. In our imagination, we have seen a lot of sparkles, and we see opportunities as well, also concerns. The founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman, is trying to be very low-key on this situation, saying that the generative AI is the biggest evolution we have in the history. And Bill Gates said that we have only two industrial revolutions. One is the computer graphic capability is the first wave of revolution. So graphic interface is the first wave of revolution. The second revolution is the generative AI. And the professor from Tsinghua University mentioned that the emergence of a large language model is a major national weapon in the AI era. That means if anyone who wants to win in the battle, they cannot lose in the AI era. So one of my best friends, Mr. Li Kai-fu, can see the commercial opportunity of this technology.
What is not on the slide is the father of artificial intelligence. Once they have launched the ChatGPT, the father of artificial intelligence have left his position because he thinks artificial intelligence will have a disruptive influence to all mankind. He left Google saying that he would warn the society about the influence. And I think you are familiar with the Harari and the history of time and history of mankind. He believes that the generative AI would also bring to the termination of mankind. He also warns us the risk. I personally believe that if Newton redefines the modern physics and Albert Einstein has redefined time and space, then generative AI would redefine human being. This would be a major transformative change which deserves every attention from all of us. And from economic value, let's go to next page. Well, people or different organizations may have different numbers here, but from what our perspective is, in the future 5 to 10 years, at least trillions of economy would be created by generative AI. And what are the fields? Actually, it's in every field, such as energy, medical services, advanced manufacturing, finance, transportation, education, among others, just to name a few. Those numbers might not be very accurate. It's only a bulk number estimated by different institutions, and we have summarized from different data sources. So this is only for the illustration purpose to show the scale possible achieved by generative AI in the future. In order to achieve the generative AI to empower the industries and verticals in the future, it requires humongous amount of funding and investment. We didn't have the estimation on a global level. However, based on some institutions' forecast and estimation, by 2027, we would have 300 billion capex. Those capex will be spent on chips, hardwares, the construction and training of LLMs, and also vertical applications. However, all of those applications and large language models and middlewares need the telecommunication infrastructure as the foundation. They need to have access to the internet supported or underpinned by the broadband. The generative AI would have much more demand for the broadband access. At the same time, it requires the developing countries, China being one of them. In China, our telecommunication infrastructure, I've read some of the numbers. Our infrastructure actually outperforms some of the developed countries. If we have the shared future, it is the obligation of the Chinese operators, and also it is a commercial viable opportunities for those operators to assist other countries in bridging the digital divide. The operators can help other countries to better and complete their internet access. I think other developed countries also share the same obligation. And lastly, because we are a capital agency, for the generative AI and broadband access requires a humongous amount of funding, which cannot be solely provided by one institution. So we do have multiple stakeholders, such as the government, capital operators, and industry capital, among others. We are willing to proactively work with the members of the WBBA to contribute our fair share. And lastly, actually, it's not on the slide. Generative AI actually, we have the game of geopolitics, which is quite pessimistic. However, superficially, on the surface, artificial intelligence exacerbates the geopolitical conflicts. However, if you look further, artificial intelligence provides a chance for reconciliation, because to manage artificial intelligence would be a game between humankind versus the machine. If the journey doesn't end well, this will bring to the termination of humankind. I think all the countries, be it Europe Union and the US or China, have come to recognize this importance. So all the countries would work together to work on artificial intelligence. So while we work on the economic values produced by generative AI, we also need to be aware and work on the restrictions of the AI so that we can create guardrails that generative AI won't hurt us.
Thank you for those very important insights, and we're also delighted to hear that the Asia Investment Capital is a supporter of the World Broadband Association. We now kick off our section on cloud network broadband evolution, with insights into the technology roadmap that's going to be required to develop and deliver broadband network improvements in the future, one of the key World Broadband Association focus areas. So please welcome the chief expert at the China Academy of ICT, Zhu Heyan.
So we're a bit overrunning the program, so I will try to deliver my speech faster. Dear leaders and experts and ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My topic today is the new service and demand drive network innovation and development. We can see that global digital economy has rapid development, has become the important engine driving the overall development. Now we have the statistics of 2021. We can see that the digital economy accounts for 40% of the total GDP. In China, we have the numbers up to 2022. It accounts 41.5% of the total GDP in China. In this sense, digital economy has become one of the most important pillars in supporting the overall development as a nation and globally, out of which digital economy have several components, especially when we illustrate the fourth round of industrial revolution. We know that most important is the digital technology, including sensing, network technologies, and also computing resources, including computing forces and computing powers. Those are very important. So when we talk about the current and future development, and when we talk about the demand side of the internet, we need to be aware of those three components and their significance. When we talk about digital economies, we need to be aware it includes the industrial digitalization and digital's industrial development. So industrialization is very important, out of which we can see that IoT has been pushing forward the development of the manufacturing industries. Other businesses are using digitals to empower digital transformations, such as the smart cities and some specific IoT applications in different verticals. When we mentioned internet, we have previous speakers have mentioned about the bridging of a digital divide. The prerequisite would be a very good connectivity. And previous speaker talks about generative AI. But from the digital economy development perspective, without the support and foundation of internet connections, the IIoT and the other development would have no foundation, and smart city as well. Based on this, the computing power is a very important foundation as well. So in China, we have promoted the different transfers of computing powers from the east to the west. We also have other emerging industries, 8K, VR, AR, metaverse. So those are the important needs that need to be met, underpinned by the broadband access. So we can see that the IoT and the digital transformation requires ultra-reliable internet connection and also the deterministic networks as well as the deterministic latency. For the data centers and data computing power transfers in China, especially about our computing powers, we need to have a low latency and a big bandwidth, and also the convergence of computing forces and the networks. In the future, the metaverse also requires the greater broadband and low latencies. Through those two slides, I would like to show you in the future what is the directions of our internet development. Firstly, we need to know what are the demand and how can we convert them into the directions of internet industry development. So in our research institute, we have proposed 6 directions. So during those course of development, the internet or the broadband industry develops based on its own pattern. So we have to enhance its capacity. And from the operator's perspective, operators provide the services to the public. They need to have diversified services. In the past, they mainly work on 2C. However, we have identified more demands for 2B for companies. So it is more challenging for them. The operators, they need to lower the cost of operation and maintenance. At the same time, the customization of different networks is manifesting stronger. As I mentioned previously, and the indigenous demand from the operators, we have produced the 6 the directions: super high speed and large capacity, ubiquitous connection, computing, networking, convergence, and intelligence and visualization. Let me talk about the first, the high speed and large capacity. The high speed and the large capacity. So if we look at the foundation of optical fiber, one of the direction is a single wave improvement. So commercially now we are promoting the 400G. In the future, we can promote 800G or even beyond. For the single wave, we will further extend. We have the band extension. Currently, we have the C-band extension, which has become commercially available. In the future, we will have a C plus L, C plus SC plus C plus L. And the third part is the new type of optical fibers, such as the multiple core and few mode fiber, and SDM would be a direction. We also have the hollow core fiber, such as the anti-renaissance fiber. So this is the large, high speed and large capacity being one of the direction. And if we look at the internet connections, we will look at the all optical networking interconnections. We'll promote the further expansion of all optical cross-connecting in dimensions and scale and aspects. Next is a multi-dimensional perception, collaboration, and network open and decoupling. We're now working on the DC interconnection scenarios and access layer device. In the future, the solutions will be given to existing network operation and maintenance and standardization improvement. As for the second is the low latency and deterministic features.
Currently, our broadband is targeting at the users and consumers, right? So This is a rigid channel, and the future for industry use. We have got diversified industry, so that we need to provide diversified service too, based on the requirements from this industry. And targeting at those two requirements, we need to provide deterministic low latency and broadband width, and also packet loss. In order to provide these deterministic characteristics, so in terms of service, service need to be certain, and also on technologies as well. We have technology or network layer 1, 2, 3. Service need to be guaranteed, and service need to be deterministic too. So at different layers, we are promoting this. OIF is promoting L1 layer. ITO is promoting MTN. L2, IEEE is promoting, and in the future, at the wide area network, if there's requirements, then right now the deterministic characteristics is within the factories, and L3 layer technology is also required. So we need those several institutions to promote the standardization. Right now, for our industrial pond has already been implemented and applied in different factories here in China, and you can see solutions already. I want to skip the detailed technologies. The third feature, technology feature, is autonomous and customization. The main purpose is to solve the efficiency, low efficiency, and high complication of the network, and also the privacy protection. Right now, we have the 5G autonomous different level governance and management methods, and we need to have a multi-sliced technology or network slicing at different layers. And secondly, AI technology need to be applied in this solution. It can provide the reasonable end-to-end solution, as well as the reasonable slicing layer to meet the requirements from the consumers and users, so that the efficiency of the internet or network can be improved. These are the two directions. The fourth technology feature is the convergence of computing and network. So the convergence is in different areas, including service, including the architecture management. And in China, in our promotion, we are using three formats. One is for those long range cross boundary transaction, and another one is a multi-cloud high speed connection. We can use elastic expansion technologies and etc. in this solution. In the future, the computing network convergence based on technologies such as the simulational awareness and unified metering and etc. So we need to have the full network sensor, and we need to unify the method, and the network and computing capability need to be distributed, and the data need to be distributed to different computing nodes accordingly. Feature 5, which is the ubiquitous connection. Just now we have heard from previous speakers First of all, in physical world, those physical subjects, data need to be collected. So we need the ubiquitous connection to fulfill the connection. Right now, apart from cellular technology, according to international standards, we have seen the emergence of new standards. For example, like the mobile IoT is a concept raised up by China. So cellular network is a foundation so that we can form the ubiquitous connection. Right now, the mobile IoT is targeting at 4 applications. One is MBIoT to satisfy the low speed or low rate scenarios. The second one is 4G Cat1 and 5G RedCap to satisfy the medium speed IoT and voice scenarios, and then 4G Cat4, 5G RedCap, and then 5G NR for high rate and low latency requirements and scenarios. And the second direction for ubiquitous connection is a satellite system. As we know that those satellites right now is developed very quickly. It provides ubiquitous connection to the users. Like a V2 Mini successful launch, it can achieve over 80G, and AST can realize the direct connection to the satellite and to form a dialogue. And also we have projects about some satellites projects ongoing in China for IoT connections. The sixth feature is the digital security and high reliability. That is the base for different industries' development. So the industry digitalization fundamentally is to realize the online space connection with the offline physical world so that we can promote the digital development. In this process, it poses new challenge to the cybersecurity. Security not only in the data, but data factors. But after digitalization, we have a new challenge. The traditional network need to be integrated with the offline physical world. So that will emerge, or that will generate another space for security requirements. The challenge, we will have new challenges. Right now, the development direction is that we can see some new technology have been applied, such as the era of cyberspace security and other technologies like Ethernet technologies. So to conclude, I think there are 6 technology features as a trend for the future. So in the future, the technological development of new broadband networks will accelerate towards ultra-high speed and large capacity, deterministic and low latency, intelligent and customizable, cloud network integration, airspace ground integration, and endogenous security and high reliability. And the new broadband network will truly realize the vision of high-speed, ubiquitous, secure, and reliability, service customization, elastic intelligence, and efficient interconnection of everything.
Important to hear more about the need to plan to be able to satisfy for the increased service demands of the future, whilst also planning to manage the network more efficiently at the same time. And that's very much one of the focus areas for the World Broadband Association. And we look forward to working with you all and continuing the conversation about how we best develop the next generation broadband technology framework. Our next speaker is Vice President and Chief Scientist at World Broadband Association founder member, China Unicom Research Institute. Please welcome onto stage Dr. Tang Zhongyang.
各位来宾。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to present in this WBBA Shanghai Summit. And today I would like to use China Unicom's practice to share my opinion on the broadband access technology. As AI, VR, AR develops, our broadband network is also upgrading itself. Right now we have gigabytes, and also like 2 gigabytes is the direction, but of course the low latency and reliability are the challenges. In China, you can see that in the past 20 years, 20 years ago, we just started the access of broadband and fiber, but now we are working on DSL more than 500, and also on 2000 or 2 gigabytes. So at that time, we started from zero, and right now we have more than 1 billion ports with 600 million users, and also the 121 million broadband users with access rates of more than 1,000 Mbps. So for the broadband, we don't have a band generation like 5G, 2G, or 4G. So we were talking about F5G. So we are at the stage of F5G. Technology-wise, PON is the representative. So with the development of the business, at the fixed broadband, I think we need to evolve from old generation to new generation. Maybe we can call it F5G advanced. So last year end, China Unicom, together with 20 industry partners, we have issued our F5G advanced industry-wide paper, and that was presented in the Bangkok Summit of WBBA. So we think in the future, the gigabytes and the 10 gigabytes will be the future direction, and the household access will develop into industrial access, so benefiting both. At the same time, from communication to perception, there needs to be a balanced integration, so that we can leverage on the power of fiber perception. And in terms of the rates advancement, we need to care also about green development and energy saving. That is a new requirement and challenge in the future.
China Unicom has paid special attention to the development of the fixed broadband. We have the different networks, the 5G, 1,000 mega network, among others. For those 5 high quality networks, 3 of them are actually related to the cloud and network convergence. So we're looking at all optical access, the computing force, internet, and network. We have dedicated networks for different purposes. And we're now working on the FTTH to FTTD. For example, in the past, we have made it to the homes for FTTH. And in the future, it will be further extended to the rooms to have better customer experience. The FTTR development, China Unicom has focused on FTTR. So far, we have 2 million FTTR users, accounting for 50% of the total Chinese users, which means China Unicom is in a leading position. On the other hand, while we work on the improvement of the speed, we also work on the improvement of customer experience, and that always remains as our top priority. So we work with the different partners to make sure the user experience is complete from end to end. So in the past, we have been promoting the 1,000 megabytes access. Now we have launched 2,000 megabytes broadband service based on FTTR. Actually, it is benefited from FTTR because there is the optical fiber access in the rooms. We will be able to provide 2,000 megabytes products to our users. This year, many China Unicom branch offices have launched their 2,000 megabytes products differently in their own locations. So there is a gradual transfer from 1,000 megabytes to 2,000 megabytes. Currently, we are in a 10G PON stage. Next step, publicly accepted by the industry, is the 50G PON. That is the new technology direction. But how can we achieve the GPON, 10G PON, and the 5G PON in the future, and the coexistence of those different generations and the smooth transfer needs further works. So the 50G PON will be used in different scenarios. First, in the smart industrial parks. On May 15th, we have launched the white papers for smart industrial parks. For 50G PON, you can scan the QR code to download white paper. As the next-gen technology, 50G PON will start with the smart industrial parks and gradually transfer to the households so that we can achieve the 1,000. Next part is the dedicated industry internet. How can we apply the PON technology in the industrial internet? There's a different requirement. For example, the security, reliability, and latency will be much different from the home consumption scenario. China Unicom has undertaken the key national project, the industrial PON, with ultra reliability. So we work with industrial partners to proactively work on that. So I believe you have seen some applications by the industrial PON. However, we still have a long journey and a lot of work to do before we can universally promote the industrial PON. To summarize my slides with the last one slide, the development of the broadband needs the innovation and breakthroughs in the cloud network convergence. For example, the high-speed transmission, or optical switching, or optical access, computing network, and cloud optical integration. Secondly, we have to promote the unified standard. Currently, we're at F5.5G and 50G PON. We are working on the standards, and China is working on the FTTR and international standard of Wi-Fi 7. Those would be underlying standards for those global standardization. And we need to accelerate the application such as VR, AR, 8K high-definition videos, smart homes, forcing live stream, online working or work from home or remote healthcare services. And lastly, we believe we need to empower the industries to emerge that with the brick-and-mortar economy so that the industry private network, manufacturing digital transformation, and industrial optical network application will be a reality and has a big potential in the future. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tang Zhongyang, and thank you to China Unicom for their ongoing support of the World Broadband Association. Another founder member of the World Broadband Association is Nokia, and I'm delighted to welcome today its President of Greater China and CEO of Nokia Shanghai Bell, Mr. Markus Burkhardt.
大家下午好，我很高兴。
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to attend this afternoon's event. My Chinese sufficiency is not enough to deliver the whole speech in Chinese, so I'm going to deliver my presentation in English. Hope that's okay.
And it's really great to be here, and let there be light. And light is a symbol of creation, of growth, of the future. And also the world has opted to use communication by light. China has been one of the leaders in this journey with the massive FTTH deployment that we have seen around China, and previous speakers have spoken about it. And the rest of the world has followed. And this is really a great thing. And it's also great, easy to make this case about broadband and speed, because the world wants broadband. The world needs broadband. And we already have more than 450 gigabit networks around the world. More than 90 operators have already deployed multi-gig services in their respective networks. And from Nokia, we already have more than 1,025,000 GPON ports deployed across our network. So the great thing about fiber is once you've built the infrastructure, you can just keep improving the speed, right? And keep improving, upgrading the network. And so we are moving from simple 1 GPON to 10 GPON to 25 GPON, all that already commercial today, to even then 50 GPON and 100 GPON. Right, 50 GPON, we are seeing trials today, and 100 GPON, our researchers at Bell Labs have already also done a proof of concept and shown the technology. But once we got this massive capacity and got this massive speed, we can also start using it for other purposes, not just for residential broadband. Yeah, so we can also add SDN, software-defined network, to it. We can start slicing the network to support different users, different use cases. We can add automation or even computing cards to it. And with that, of course, we can increase and build multiple revenue streams over the same fiber broadband infrastructure. This then also enables with fiber, we enable low latency, which enables mission-critical applications, be it in Industry 4.0 application or other mission-critical applications, whether they are wired directly or we're using fiber as a broadband or a backhauling technology for a mobile. And also fiber is the most cost-efficient, the most green technology to deliver gigabit services. Right? So we have calculated that fiber is about 6 to 8x more energy efficient. It has a lower carbon footprint than any other alternative access technology. So some people may ask and argue, well, why do you need multi-gigabit services? Right? What are the use cases? What are the applications? Do we really need it? Well, yes, they have a point, right? Because if you look at 4K video, right? If you have a simple stream, you may need 8 megabit, right? If you have a household of 4, right? So you're getting up to sorry, that was for 4K, right? So you may be getting up to 30, 40 meg, right? 4K video, right? So maybe, or 8, from moving from 4 to 8K, maybe then we're looking at a few hundred megabit per second, but not yet the gigabit speeds. However, as we are looking at, for example, immersive virtual reality, well, here we need symmetrical services, right? We need the high capacity for not only the downlink, but also the uplink. And here we're already seeing speed requirements of close to gigabit with around 700 megabit per second. Yes, over the time, new codecs and compression and so on will likely bring that down, but here already we see the need for gigabit services. And the most important part is actually that this is just for sustained speeds. But the peak speeds are very important for the user experience, right? And we see this, for example, with cloud interactivity. When you open a cloud application, you want the experience to be as if you're opening the application on your laptop. You don't want to see a progress bar, right? And this is why, this is what multi-gig services enable, right? The same user experience. Or also the instant gratification when you click a link, right? And you immediately have the websites coming up. And so, in fact, human impatience may be the key killer app for gigabit services. And the other great thing about fiber and gigabit services, once you've laid the infrastructure, you can use it for so many other things, right? Once you have built your FTTH networks, right, and the fiber passes along the streets, of course you can also connect enterprises. You can connect and use it for smart city infrastructure, for schools, for campuses, for connecting small cells, and so on and so forth. And that then increases and improves the business case and shortens the payback period for building the network. In fact, at Bell Labs Consulting, we have worked, and this is an example with one service provider, we have looked at how do these multi-gig services and multiple use cases impact and improve the payback period for investment in fiber infrastructure and in gigabit services. So here you have, a typical curve, cash flow, cumulative cash flows, discounted cash flows for residential broadband, right? Investment in gigabit services, right? So payback period around 7 years or break even, right? Now, we are doing an incremental investment for using the network and slicing and adding multi-gigabit services. And you can see immediately, the payback periods get shortened to a period between 4 and 5 years. So this is really, and then generates also a higher cash flow down the road. So this is really the beauty about the fiber infrastructure and gigabit services. So here we go. PON, we clearly see, is the most efficient technology to connect not only homes, but also connect enterprises. We can add automation and cloud on top of it. We can add more and more services, more and more use cases, slicing and so on and so forth. And we're doing all this as a lower or the lowest TCO, right? That's the attractiveness. So this is a golden opportunity for WBBA, and why we're very happy to be part of this association. So together, we need to work on continuing to educate the general public, the media, the policymakers, that fixed broadband is really critical for our digital society and economy. And we need to help governments to simplify regulation and fiber deployments, right, to encourage investment and speed them up. And also very important for WBBA to collaborate with other industry associations in our ecosystem, in our space, fiber associations in Europe or the US, ETNO, and as former president of Digital Europe, I also have to mention Digital Europe, of course. So with that, 谢谢大家, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcus, and thank you, Nokia. As mentioned earlier, we're always looking at the WBBA at ways to better make the case for infrastructure investment. And I think that reduction in payback period slide that Marcus showed is a very critical way that we can help to make that case together. Our next speaker, who will outline a vision for our industry as we move towards Giga Everywhere, is Vice President and CMO of the optical product line at Huawei, and one of the founder members and supporters of the World Broadband Association, Mr. Kim Jin.
Distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very honored to participate in this WBBA Shanghai Summit. On behalf of Huawei, I would like to congratulate on the successful holding of this summit. Today, my topic is Giga Everywhere and striding towards 10 Giga. Together, we're gonna discuss about some technology and network evolution and thoughts. First of all, let's take a look at the scenarios, business scenarios. We can divide them into individuals, households, and industrial scenarios. Take industrial scenario for an example. Recently, we had a launch by Apple, Vision Pro by Apple. It provides us with the imagination for future personal use into virtual world, so it can achieve monocular 4K XR. And another popular application is XR. We estimate that with the application of the higher development of chipset, next year we will have some tipping point of XR. So these two applications, 4K and XR, can push the individual's bandwidth and more than 500 megabytes. Household scenario is another application. This year, in our different summit, you may notice that this year, if we don't mention about 3D application, that means you are out of fashion. Because as you can see, with a mature ecosystem, no matter on our mobile, pad, or big screen, our manufacturers, they are working on the naked eye 3D 8K projects. And we can see we have 110-inch 8K screen now. That will improve our naked eye technology application. We have technologies to switch 2D film resources into 3D. We believe that by 2025, 5K naked eye 3D technology will enter the household. And with the high definition of a household screen, so we will have 60 to 60 viewpoints, and the bandwidth requirements will be more than 1.8 gigabytes. And so the application in this case pose high requirements on the bandwidth. And then in industrial scenarios, a lot of projects and work are on cloud now, and that will greatly improve our efficiency, working efficiency, such as our AOI quality inspections, and those pose requirements on the latency and jitter. The 7 to 8 gigabytes for industrial camera now is realized. Moreover, let's take a look at the development on the network development with the fiber broadband. Previous speaker mentioned that fiber broadband developed dramatically in the past few years. We can conclude that development into 3 waves. The first wave is from non-connected to connected. In the past, for our city network to household network, we have realized from non-connected to connected. We have solved the last mile problem. And then the second wave is from 100 megabytes to gigabytes. Just now, one of the speakers mentioned that domestically, we've already eliminated the copper, but switched that into fiber mostly, so that the efficiency of the speed and of the network is improved, and we are entering the gigabytes era. The next trend is from gigabytes to 10 gigabytes. Just now, Mark from Nokia mentioned that globally we have more than 500 operators launching their 10 gigabytes packages. We have another set of data. We have more than 500 FMC operators on their fixed mobile broadband FTTH. New user achieved 14 million yearly. So household application is widely scaled out. And globally, we have 450 operators launching their 10 gigabytes packages covering 120 million users. So globally, more than 50 operators, they are launching their 10 gigabytes package. With household industrial development, we also find that the requirements on the network agile operation is required. So how should we build an end-to-end full connection? Then with the development, we find that from backbone, we have entered into a city aggregation to CO to base stations. The data is from the Europe market. We can see that from OT to WDM, the penetration is more than 65%. And then to city backbone, penetration is 100% to deploy OT and WDM. And this way, from backbone to city domain, we have found a foundation or a base. And then how should we support the leap from gigabytes to 10 gigabytes? Fiber has a long life cycle of more than 30 years without the limitation on the bandwidth, and it has good characteristics. Now it's fiber for everything as the new concept. That means for the future trend, we have reached a consensus that in the future, no matter it's for city domains or for backbones or for core, no matter what scenarios are, at the end, fiber is the application. So optical connection is everywhere and for everything. In this way, we can further improve the quality of the network connection. As we know that F5.5G's key is 50G PON. It provides key capabilities to our 10 gigabytes development. And in the past PON evolution, we have different stages. At 5G PON, we had convergence through ITOT definition. 50G PON is defined as the only roadmap for the next future GPON and EPONs unified. 5G PON is concluded, and that will bring three changes on the network. First of all, the access of the network will from 1G to 10G. That provides us a very full range connection. And then in terms of low latency from milliseconds to microseconds. Just now, one of the speakers, Mr. Tang, mentioned its application in industrial manufacturing. So in this way, it can bring great potential to the fiber development. And we also leverage the network slicing technology to realize the unification of a multi-network for different scenarios. And then we work on the speed, rate, and some crossover capability of the optical connections. The capability is further enhanced and maximized from single fiber to right now. For single fiber, we can achieve more than 40T. And in the future, we have 800G DCI, 400G backbone, and 100G to site. And these are our basic capabilities for the digital transformation in different industries. Last but not least, from gigabits to 10 gigabits is the future vision. We will have 5 scenarios: home to enterprise to machine to cloud and sensing all together. We will prosper the digital economy. We also urge everyone in this industry, no matter you are in upstream or downstream, let's around F5.5G to standardize the industry and to build a good ecosystem with better investment and better infrastructure. At the same time, let's promote the technology innovation and cultivate more scenarios for application. And with the prosperous development, we hope that our professionals can invest in the future and to build this end-to-end capability to achieve 10 gigabytes development. Huawei is willing to be hand in hand with our partners to discuss about the future application of 10 gigabytes, and let's vision together. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you to Huawei for its ongoing support of the WBBA. So submarine cables are obviously critical to intercontinental internet traffic, and what we're going to be considering next is the power of those submarine cables in enabling broadband's global potential. And to examine that for us, I'm delighted to welcome Managing Director of SB Submarine Systems to the stage, Simon Hibbard.
Ni hao. Good afternoon, WBBA Chairman Lee, Martin, respected hosts, and of course, all summit attendees. My name is Simon Hibbard, and it is my pleasure to be joining you here this afternoon. I have been involved in the submarine cable industry for some 35 years. I'm British by birth, but my home has been Shanghai, China for the last 5 years. I have the privilege of being the Managing Director of SB Submarine Systems, a company based here in the city. Submarine cable is the invisible fiber link enabling the internet. Under the waves and at the bottom of the Earth's oceans are almost 1.4 million kilometers of submarine fiber optic cables. Going unnoticed by most everyone in the world, these cables underpin the entire global internet and our modern information age. These cables are vital for modern global communications. Some key statistics of submarine cable. Submarine cables account for over 99% of intercontinental data traffic. As said, as of early 2023, there are nearly 1.4 million kilometers of submarine cables in service globally. Most international financial transactions run over subsea cables. $10 trillion in financial transactions flows over submarine cables each day. In recent years, we've witnessed another cyclical boom within the submarine cable installation industry. Around 270,000 kilometers of new cable will be installed under the sea between 2023 and 2025. The history of submarine cable can be considered to be divided into three main parts. For 100 years, from 1839, telegraph and telephone copper conductor cables prevailed. In 1939, coaxial cable was introduced, and it wasn't until 1980 that fiber optic cable came on the scene. So for optical fiber, a 44-year history to date in submarine cable. The very first copper cable was laid between England and France on August 28, 1850, by a small paddle-driven steam tug called the Goliath, an event that marked the start of the submarine cable industry. From 1850 until 1911, British submarine cable systems dominated the most important market of the day, the North Atlantic Ocean. In 1896, there were 30 cable-laying ships in the world, 24 of which were owned by British companies. In 1892, British companies owned and operated 2/3 of the world's cables, and by 1923, their share was still 42.7%. The growth in kilometers of submarine cable is closely linked to global bandwidth growth. Total international bandwidth now stands at 997 terabits per second, representing a 4-year compound annual growth rate of 29%. COVID bump aside, the pace of growth has been slowing. However, we still see a near tripling of bandwidth since 2018. To meet this growth demand, companies are investing in existing networks and in new infrastructure, including, of course, submarine cables. Based on publicly announced planned cables, over $10 billion worth of new cables are expected to enter service between 2022 and 2024. So, who's driving all this demand growth for international capacity? Historically, it's been carrier networks provisioning public internet services. More recently, a handful of major content and cloud service providers, namely Google, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft, have become the primary sources of demand. These companies are the dominant users of international bandwidth, accounting for 69% of all used international capacity in 2021. Most global networks have redundancy built into them, either through restoration agreements between system owners or by design. In the design of most modern cable systems, a number of cables may be laid along similar routes and making major connections, transatlantic and transpacific, for example. Thereby, a failure of one cable can be immediately mitigated by the rerouting of traffic to the other cables. This slide identifies a number of the significant routes, and I'd just like to mention several of the cables that are shown on this picture. Firstly, in the transatlantic portion, the Grace Hopper cable system is a private transatlantic communication cable that connects the United States of America, New York, with the UK and with Spain. It was announced by Google in 2020 and went live in 2022. It's a 16 fiber pair, that's 32 fiber system. In the Pacific, the new Cross-Pacific Cable System, NCP, is a 13,000-kilometer new generation high-capacity fiber optic system across the Pacific Ocean, directly connecting the US and Asia with landings in China, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and the US This is a 7-fiber system, 7-fiber pair system. The NCP consortium comprises China Telecom, China Mobile, and China Unicom, among others. And more locally, the Asia Direct Cable, intra-Asia. The Asia Direct Cable, ADC, is a 9,400-kilometer submarine cable connecting China, the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, and Guangdong Province, Japan, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. The ADC cable system features 8 fiber pairs and is designed to carry more than 140 terabits per second of traffic, enabling high-capacity transmission of data across the East and Southeast Asian regions. The ADC network is expected to be completed by the 4th quarter of 2023. This system is still under construction. So the stated mission of the WBBA is to unify broadband industry stakeholders to address and drive forward shared goals of maximizing the social and economic benefits of equality and broadband for all globally. This is a laudable, rational, and worthy commitment, and it has my full support. SBSS is a great example of 2 communication entities coming together with a single mission. Indeed, stakeholders driving forward shared goals. Today, SBSS maintains the critical submarine telecom infrastructure that connects mainland China to the rest of the world. SBSS is a joint venture company with a 27-year history. We're the leading submarine cable installer in Asia, and in our history, we have installed over 70,000 kilometers of cable worldwide. And I think importantly, SBSS has an international board of directors and an international management team. So important in our global industry. And finally, to close, I'd like to touch on some of the challenges faced by submarine cable installers and perhaps identify potential future topics that the WBBA might get involved in the coming months and years. The WBBA's stated objective is to overcome industry challenges and support the drive towards the provision of broadband networks and services for all. So from a cable installer's perspective, the challenges include, but are certainly not limited to, the major issue of permitting for new international submarine cable systems. Most countries have legislation and statutory marine plans in place that ensure submarine subsea projects mitigate any potential conflict between users, maintain the highest standards of quality and safety, and ensure that all marine activities take into account environmental considerations. But licensing and permitting is typically far more difficult in emerging markets, where there are less developed legal and regulatory regimes. There may be more red tape, less transparency. There will be localization rules, perhaps, and a requirement to use local professionals. The recent introduction of high fiber count systems is also presenting a challenge for the cable installer, not only on jointing times and the obvious need for cable ships offshore to maintain position for longer in what might be challenging environmental conditions, but also with a risk of fiber color mismatch. If colors are mixed up by cable jointers when jointing, this causes not only a delay to testing and may require rework, but it also causes risk to the cable system as it takes longer to rectify these faults. It isn't uncommon on 32 fiber systems to have fiber mismatch. And obviously with increased fiber counts, there comes increased risk of fiber mismatch. I also wish to mention the aging global cable ship fleet The average age of the world's cable ship fleet is greater than 25 years now, with only a handful of new cable ships entering service in the last few years. With the increased importance of broadband, the aging of the assets that install and maintain these critical cables cannot be ignored. And perhaps I should mention decoupling. Submarine cables have been seen as geopolitical strategic assets for more than 100 years. Undersea cables that carry the bulk of intercontinental international traffic are increasingly the focal point of geopolitical tensions. Superpower rivalry has led to the rerouting of crucial systems and internet cables. Any positive effort by the WBBA to calm this particular stormy sea can only be a good thing. And finally, there is a need to attract young talent to our industry. I attended the Submarine Network EMEA event in May in London of this year, just 1 month ago. At that event, the vast majority of attendees had either grey hair or no hair. Attracting new talent to our industry is critical in addressing both our issues and our aspirations. And with great thanks for your attention, that completes my presentation today.
Thank you, Simon. And the World Broadband Association looks forward to working with SBSS to start to address some of those challenges from your final slide. I'd like now to welcome on stage Vice President and General Manager for Wireline Marketing at ZTE, Mr. Peter Hu.
Thank you. We are approaching to the very end of the session, but we still have a great many audience to stay to the very end. I will go through my slides very quickly, and hopefully I can sparkle some of the ideas of your head and share with you some of the user cases and ideas. First is about the construction of the networks. In the general construction, we follow several patterns, and there are some philosophies. In China, we had a boomerang development of the network construction. According to the official statistics, we have more than 110 cities that are 10,000 megabytes cities. Actually, we have 15 cities that achieved 5,000 megabytes, or they have a Wi-Fi 1,000 and cable 2,000 megabytes and wireless 5G 1,000. So combined, it's called 5 1,000 megabyte cities. However, in the technology applications, we do have some problems. We have a technical upgrade from the PON technology. We have the scalability to the 10G PON, including the 1,000 megabyte cities. However, for the percentage is only 60 to 70%. But if we go to the access layer, the challenge is getting worse. Now we have the FTTR. The percentage of FTTR is quite low. Last year it was 1.5 million. And this year we expect some increase. In those scenarios, what are the challenges we are facing? So in this cloud and broad network, we talk about the convergence of cloud and network. It includes the retrofit of the infrastructure and the east to west computing resource transfer and cloud transformation strategy. This refers to the transformation of our general architecture. So we need to think about how should we change or modify those network from the EPON. It has been 20 years since the EPON. There are three parts. The first is the optical broadband. So it follows the Moore's rules and also the fiber in copper art philosophy. But we do not have this issue because in China, it's almost all optical. Globally, it's 70 to 80% fiber, but some countries may do have the copper. So this trend remains a mega trend, mega challenge worldwide. So this is the first part.
To the second stage, which is the cloud broadband advancement. Today, we have a lot of speakers mentioning about their insights on cloud computing. Then for a manufacturer, the biggest challenge for us is to look for a public platform. All of the business can be connected on that platform so that we can together build this ecosystem. In this way, we can break through or cross the different protocol borders and connect all those manufacturers. The last challenge is the broadband and cloud network. We've mentioned this issue in different seminars. I think most importantly, we need to create a closed loop. The current application need to be collected from to form that closed loop covering different stages. It sounds simple, but in our practice, there are some silos. So we need the AI technology or big data to help us in further improving the efficiency so that we can break those silos. So right now, in the overall network building, we hope that we can use some open system to raise some concepts. For an example, the most important thing in the network is the deterministic network key technology issues. ZTE, we are an encryption provider, so for the full optical end, we pay more attention to the chipset algorithm. In order to fulfill this whole value chain, we can guarantee the certainty of the business. And then the business challenge are diversified. Compared with 2014, at that time we had the virtual trend, SDN. NFV technology is being very successful. In that training, the core network has been approved through training that it can lower down the cost and improve the efficiency. And then let's review the SDN technology. I talked with my customer saying that it's like a gateway for generalization. SDN is mentioned everywhere. However, you don't see a lot of big changes or commercial use compared with the application in those traditional NMS and EMS. So virtual line is also the future exploration, but that might not be successful, but that is our direction. So at the end, we work on the VSGB, and then in business gateway, CP, network elements, VIRWork, VBase, and etc. We find there is a rule that the closer you go to the core, and then it's easier for you to get virtual. So VCD and VBase, VCDN and VBase has already accumulated experience among our three operators. And then in the future, the benefits still needs to be further explored in our work ahead. So that is our suggestion and thoughts about virtualization. In terms of the key in connectivity, whether the network can provide enough capabilities. We can see for ARGC, it's very popular. Everyone is talking about they need a strong network to support ARGC. However, the challenge for network, we call that node loss. Right, we require for a network without any loss, but whether this capability of the network can provide this lossless DCN, there are two boundaries. Like in VR, one is a rocky technology. For Rocky technology, we have done a comparison performance of Rocky and RMB solution. We can achieve 80% to 90%. We cannot fully benchmark because it's a closed-loop ecosystem, but our cost through simulation, the rocking solution is 26% of RMB solution. So in high cost performance solution, we can talk about a lossless DCM bus. In network connectivity, when we mentioned about broadband connection, whether we can sense or perceive the business, that is very key. We can determine the stream of the business in the past, but that cannot fulfill the business convergence. The convergence need to be deterministic. So in this way, we want to explore and make some trials. So for an example, in our network, some service information is added to have some business remark or tag, so that this business tag or coding can be provided. In this way, the work stream can be divided and distributed. But of course, we need the operators to identify those business code. Based on all those thoughts, we have some suggestions for future infrastructure. We call that TAS, NAS, and ES. TAS means the connection service in different channels, and then NAS is to leverage on the network to provide service. Network elements is very important, and to B2C information side important. And then experience, whether experience can be formed into a form of a service. So experience is the ultimate upgrade. Because of the time, I would like to cut short. So ZTE, globally, we are actively making our exploration in the world. I hope that we can cooperate with all our industry practitioners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you for those closing suggestions on boosting cloud network convergence to improve broadband outcomes and capabilities. We're now moving to our final keynote of our seminar today, and I'm delighted to introduce Senior Researcher from Alibaba Cloud, Dr. Su Zhong.
The speaker of this event, and I just realized this is a real international summit, and with so many foreign friends participation in person. And my colleague just didn't remind me this, so I prepared everything in Chinese. And so my name is Zhong Su. I'm working as a research scientist in AI domain for more than 20 years, and now is leading the technology strategy in Alibaba Cloud. So after this brief introduction, I will switch to Chinese to avoid to make this presentation to be a disaster. So my topic is around the intelligent plus, the third wave of the digitalization. So some topic about the new AI innovation. OK， 所以我们看到这个。
So we can see the fast development in the technology development. Every year we had a forecast on the future technology. And last year we find that AI era is coming. The technology itself and its downstream application to the chips chiplet and upstream to different industries, we can see the application. The AI application right now, as we know that we have a large language model, LLM, and generative AI and AI generated content. AI pose special requirements on algorithm and on the format of our chiplet. So today, NVIDIA's market value right now exceeds the value of Intel. In new technology, we have like the old traditional IT structure is not suitable anymore for AI model, large-scale algorithm. Memory computing is entering coming onto the stage, and also chiplet, some small chipset technologies can enable AI technologies, and they can use those chip as a Lego. So recently you can see the cache is replaced by chiplet technology so that the chip can be of a better performance. So you can see there's a lot of big changes in the industry. Right now, we are saying that we are entering a digitalization period of time. The AI technology is impacting every aspect of our life. Right now, we say AI for science. AI is no longer a technology purely anymore. Itself become a tool of R&D. AlphaFold, not long ago, they were using new technologies in biology. Historical data can forecast the protein structure. That is a new technology, and this new technology also happened in mathematics and physics and different domains. So AI technology will totally change the evolution of human history. So for a lot of times, we were mentioning that the AI technology is under the spotlight, and it's impacting the basic R&D. Not long ago, I published a paper talking about in China, EU, or US, everybody can catch on the train of AI. Because at this evolution era, there's great opportunity for every personal, every country, every region. So we are at the same starting line again. So this stage of AI is called the large language model AI technology. Fundamentally, the technology is involved because the traditional AI technology can only zoom in a certain industry, but not cross-sector. But right now, we see ChatGPT, and in Alibaba, we have Tongyi Qianwen application. And this LLM can be applied in different industries. Right now, the trained LLM with very limited capabilities, we train the ABCs of the model, and the content is input, and there are windows, and the window explored in different words. But you find this model has very strong capability in interference, and also it has the mindset of a human being. Through communication, it can discuss about or can explore about your feelings. It's like Turing back in 1950s. He mentioned about AI's direction. So we call that Turing experiment. But now we call that the LLM with limited capabilities with such a strong power already. So in different scenarios, it brings us a large amount of imaginations. AIGC can generate us content in different industries. We can use the NLP to realize the dialogue between machine and human beings. We also find there are other capabilities of this machine. AI can be a converter of different applications and scenarios.
AI can be intelligent services, so AI for everyone, model as a service. That would be a different turning point, because in the past, the underlying layer is the past. So for the underlying layer is us, and then we have the PaaS layer, and we have applications and the SaaS. So in between SaaS and PaaS, we have another layer which is MaaS. With the model as service MaaS, the AI would understand better the customer demands and therefore provide better services. Therefore, MaaS would be a very important disruptive factor for the AI systems in the future. Back to the topic of today, the third wave for the intelligent plus. In the retrospect of the different revolution, the first wave is the IT. So we digitize the information from hard copy to the digital version to store them on the servers and data banks. On the second wave, we call it Internet. We have performed a very good job in the IT formation or informatization, and also with IoT connectivities and other technologies, we connected all the objects in the world. So we created many new scenarios. And in the AI era, we have embraced the third wave. Everything that we're seeing will be redefined, and we will have new scenarios. So in the new intelligent wave, all the cities, all the companies are now again on the same starting point. And lastly, as the last speaker, I would like to quote from Peter Druck. We say the AI technology would improve the efficiency of knowledge worker, and knowledge worker is proposed by Peter Druck. I think something he said is very useful in today's world. In this ever-changing world, the most dangerous is not danger itself, it's using the old logic to tackle the current challenge. If we still use the old mindset to deal with the current customers' opportunities and the future development, it will pose danger. If we can embrace the AI wave, if we can embrace the AI change, we will have a very good development again. So I wish you a good night.
Thank you, Dr. Jiangsu, and thank you to all of today's distinguished guests, VIPs, speakers, and to you, our audience. We hope that we will see you again at future WBBA events and activities. And again, if you are not already a member of the World Broadband Association, we'd be delighted to hear more from you. Now, for his closing remarks to today's World Broadband Association Summit, I'd like to welcome back onto stage the WBBA Director General, Martin Kriener.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to all of you who stayed. I know we're over time today, but there was such a wealth of valuable information that was delivered throughout those presentations today. I think some of the key points, I think the convergence of cloud and network is a central point in the discussion of many of the presentations, and we saw some really interesting analysis of the key impacts of that convergence. Of course, we heard a lot also about where broadband is going and the importance of each next generation, and in many cases those next generations are already here in embryo in some parts of the world. We also heard many calls for the ubiquity of access and the need for broadband to be everywhere for everyone, and that of a high quality. And the impact of the importance of the submarine cable system, I think, was brought out really well in that presentation as well. And of course, AI being central to how we're going to manage the future and how the future is going to manage us. And the role of AI in the next generational broadband roadmap has been growing and growing, and is probably something that is going to outpace even our ambitions and our ideas. So overall, I felt it was an excellent presentation. I think the landscape was set out perfectly by our distinguished speakers at the start in terms of the importance of investment in broadband, the importance of collaboration across the industry. And I would like to sort of finish with a final call, just to echo what Mark was saying. The success of the WBBA will be in its membership. Membership drives everything within the WBBA. As you've seen today, there's lots of progress, lots of enthusiasm, lots of energy, and lots of really good work already underway within the WBBA. And all of that is driven by the members we have at present. So if you're not already a member, I encourage you to get involved in the WBBA. Membership is simple, and it's an open community. It's a worldwide community, and we're looking for members from that broad ecosystem I talked about in my presentation earlier on. So I'm looking forward to meeting more of you in our chats after this event, and I'm looking forward to many more new members as the year goes by. Thank you very much.